How you guys doing? I'm Bronson Bakera.
I'm Christian White.
Welcome to Bronson and Christian Talk. Man, it's definitely been, gosh, we're on like 2.5 months. We haven't we've been so busy just with life, business, work. You have a lot of your things going on, my kids, sports. I mean, 6 a.m. practice, 9 p.m. practice. It's just life, man. We've just been so busy, but I'm glad we're able to kind of get back on to, just on board with things, man.
Absolutely. Well, I know this is our first time, of course, doing it digitally. Doing it
Right.
remotely. And for those of you who don't know, I have a show and have done it strictly remotely. So Bronson and Christian Talk is really the only one where we've done it in person and such. But yeah, no, definitely a lot of moving parts. Have definitely gotten a lot busier, over the past few months and such. Enjoying the cooler weather, I could tell you that.
For
And
sure.
yeah, just grateful that the holidays are here and all that good stuff. But what's the latest in your world?
Well, half of it's pretty much your world as well. So, just busy with, Vantage Point, the landscaping, the property maintenance side, obviously the landscaping side, and, just really trying to grow it as big as possible, and then, of course, Christian, like you said, he has his podcast as well, Discourse with Christian, right? So you guys give that a follow. Also, he's been doing that, going back to school, right? I mean, you've been,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. I've
know,
been I've been working on a master's. Figured I'd take advantage of the GI Bill, and so I've been finding that very uh, beneficial to like doing a show where you talk about what's going on in the world and kind of tying it in with different periods, right? Where things are like cyclical. It's like a cycle,
right.
with history. So it's been good.
That's good, man. Yeah, kudos to you. I can't do the school. I don't like saying can't because I'll do anything. I will not go back to school. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to sit in a class. I don't want to sit at home, write papers, read all this. I mean, on my own leisure, sure, but like I just man, I just don't have the mental capacity to do that. It's different writing up bids because I know I'm getting paid for it, and then you got to crunch numbers and things like that. But kudos to you, to do that. But yeah, he's been doing that. I just been busy just with dad life and then just with work and you know um like I said, me and Christian kind of took a little small hiatus from this, focusing on other things. It's kind of like life, Christian, right? Like we just sometimes you got to focus on other things and grow those and then get right back on board with, the other things. And, Christian's podcast is doing great. So, hopefully soon Bronson and Christian talk or however it ends up being can start growing some more. And like I said, we took a little small hiatus, but things are going in a positive direction. I'm super optimistic about how everything's been. And there's definitely be some change with the podcast in a sense. It'll be more like this, depending on with guest is gonna be mandatory. So we're gonna switch up the show. Like, look, me and Christian like being able to uh, link up and shoot the podcast. But also, we might be able to do that depending. But for the most part, it's just easier. Time, just get an hour, get on here. He can be in LA, Newport, somebody could be here, or vice versa. And it's just so much easier. And, kudos to him for doing this because it is easier. But I think we both can agree there is a different element when you're in person with someone and it's a different type of, conversation. It's just a little different. It's like you guys can feed off each other's energy a little bit more. But for the guest, I think that's going to be a huge part because obviously it's working wonders for Christian. Plus, these people don't even live in the same state or same country, so it'd be a little hard to have these people come in your direction. But um, But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Just getting the right people on, and just kind of hitting a direction that I feel like, it needs to go. I feel like we were always spitballing things, and it's cool. I've always enjoyed it, and the people that were following us that enjoyed it as well. So, you know, looking forward to the direction it's gonna go, and kind of figuring out our lane. You know what I mean, on what's gonna happen with all that. So, but I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be a lot of work, just like anything else, right? You got to put in the work in order to reap the reward, so to speak. So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it.
Well, as I've conveyed to Bronson, doing hosting a show has really had a profound impact on me. Apart from meeting people and being able to turn it into revenue and such, a lot of the conversations that you have in it can fundamentally change your understanding of the world. And my show is a little different in the sense that I tend to talk about power structures, who's kind of running things behind the scenes, things of that nature, where it's had a profound impact. And I've been telling Bronson that I really think that's his strongest suit. And candidly, that is his and ours best shot at really hitting it in life. I didn't go to law school. I've opted not to go into the medical field or in finance and other fields. And I think Bronson and I, in a sense, are kindred spirits in the sense that we enjoy having a high degree of agency, having a high degree of autonomy, and not being subject to a 9 to 5 or an environment where we don't have flexibility. And I think time and time again, him and I have had that discussion that we'd rather take a pay hit, so to speak, and
Right.
have our freedom, right? I like to know I can make a 180 pivot. I can go out of town. I can go do this. I do that. Now, obviously, there's some exceptions, but
Right.
you just can't put a price on agency. You know.
Yeah, it's good to never say never, but I'm never going to do a 9 to 5. Not happening, dude. I will sell Girl Scout cookies, bro. Like I'm not working 9 to 5 anymore, dude. Like I just there's just so much out there for me to do to where I don't have to do 9 to 5. Like, it's not because I'm lazy. I am far from it. Like, I will do I'll hustle whatever I got to do. But it just has to make sense, and especially if like you're a dad, well, a good dad, you want to go to your son's games and not like, hey, sorry, son, I can't go to your games because I gotta work. And does that gonna happen sometimes? That's just the way it is. Especially if he has a game like at 1 or something, right? But my point is, I don't want to live to work. I want to be able to enjoy my life now and very soon in these next few years, and not, in my mid 60s. The average lifespan for a woman is 76 and a man 73. My dad's 65. By standards that we have, my dad's, going to pass away in 8 years. To think like that, right, is just absolutely horrible. Obviously, I don't think my dad's going to, but that's that's just how it's set up. And that means all those he's still working, mind you. So for those who don't know, my dad works for me, and then he works for me and Christian as well. So it's kind of like, wow, if he stops today, he has 8 years based on what society's saying. And that's fucking disgusting, dude. Like, that means my dad put in 40, 50 years. No, gosh, he's been working since he was 13. He's put in 50 plus years of working to enjoy 8. There's no way I'm going to do that, man. There's no way. I have to work hard now. And I think it's I don't want to say old person, but it's old school mentality where save all your money, save everything, work till you're in your 60s, and make sure you have great benefits. The only thing I do agree is having great benefits. But other than that, I don't think you need to save every dollar you have. I think you need to have a savings. I think you need to be wise with your money. I think money is meant to be spent. That's why we have money, but spent, you know, correctly. Be mindful of your spending. You don't want to be a hoarder of your money. What, you're going to save it for what? To have a beautiful funeral? You know what I mean? Respect to my grandpa, but like his funeral's going to be like 40 grand. He's already paid for it. How crazy is that? Like, dude, like you're living now. You know what I mean? So to each his own with their money, but to sum up that part is I like the what Christian's doing. I like, and me and him both know, and I know he's gonna smirk on it. So many people have said certain things, you know what I mean, about Christian in ways that we'll leave out of it. But like, you know, like I said, I'm not gonna say much, but ultimately I always said Christian's gonna be the guy. Yes, there's times Christian irritates the crap out of me, and there's certain things that Christian does. I'm like, what the hell? But this guy is not stupid. Like he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's what makes it worse, you guys, is he's a nice guy. Like it's like you want to get fucking mad at him, and you will. You'll want to beat the living crap out of him, but he's so nice, and he knows what he's doing. He's very, okay, all right, yeah, sure, and he works on his stuff, and I'll give him credit for that. He's good at his craft, and now he's able to make his revenue, and that's no one else's business, but he's able to be able to pay for stuff now, right? Based off what you guys are seeing, what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? And how is that not the ultimate goal? To be able to be home, spend an hour on the video, maybe obviously what Christian, about a few hours of editing over time for like a video. I'm not too sure. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I would say typically about an hour and a half, give or take, to edit
So
a 1 hour
altogether,
video.
worst case scenario, 2.5, 3 hours
2 hours.
tops or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what, and it's so worth it. And he's been you haven't been doing it even for a full year, right? Like,
I would say, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing it since breakfast, basically.
yeah. So my thing is like, say he's did it for a solid year. I think he didn't get crazy serious for like until like what, 8 or 9 months ago, bro.
Correct. Yeah.
So kudos to him. But he can't stop though. That now it's a job. Now it's a job, and now you can't get your foot off the gas pedal. So and for Bronson and Christian talk, there's probably gonna be some changes for our stuff, but ultimately the I think more so it'd be like this, but also we'll see on the guest and how all this is going to turn out and what we're going to do. But we wanted to shoot something, and like I said, it's been about 2.5 months, and I really want to get this ball rolling. And I enjoy it. I really, really do. I know you've been doing it consistently with people every week, every few times a week or whatever, getting videos out. But I always enjoy, just even hanging out with Christian, because all we do is like work and talk shop and do this bid. Literally before we got on here, literally I sent him over, okay, hey, we got a bid to do. This is what we need to blah blah. So, it's cool to just like not have to like talk crazy shop. It's like now it's like we just talk, and we just discuss things, and having guests on, and it's gonna be definitely Christians. And you might have said it earlier. Sorry if I didn't hear it, but what is your direction of your podcast? What is it specifically targeting?
Yeah, I'm specifically, well, I'm focused on providing an alternative media experience to my audience. I want them to better understand the world that we live in, more than just, okay, well, what's what sports team won, or what
Right.
entertainment thing or gossip thing. It's more of, hey, this is stuff that's going on geopolitically that's going to impact you at home. And this is what's going on, in terms of some of the people that run the show behind the scenes. I talk a little bit about secret societies, which exist, and I talk about some of the nefarious activities that go on within intelligence agencies, within the government. So I know I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but yeah, I try and give alternative media, alternative takes on what's going on today.
Yeah. And I think what he's doing is cool. Now I know there's maybe not everybody's cup of tea, right? But neither is what we would be talking about, you know? I think your audience wouldn't necessarily watch what our audience would watch, you know what I mean, on this one. So ultimately,
They're very old.
yeah. Would you say the age was like
I think the average age of my audience is about 55 years of age. And I have a lot of people who are 65 plus.
that is crazy.
Yep.
There's a lot of them watching there because, damn, I didn't even know they knew how to
Yeah.
work the computer. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you know, obviously, what I'm doing isn't necessarily that. It's gonna, you know, we're look, we always kind of targeted, and I think you can agree with more of the relationship aspect. But
Hmm.
you know, which I don't mind talking about that, but I think we're gonna be switching it up, and you know, people want to bring up the relationship stuff. Go ahead and or
If
ask
they
me
want to submit
questions.
questions, if they want to submit questions to us,
Yeah, hey, I'm all for it. You know, I kid you not. I was just telling some. Obviously, I'm not going to name names. The past week, I've talked to 5 different people about breakups, relationships, divorces. 5, and I'm like, oh man, you know. So, and it's just crazy. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or any thoughts, yeah, definitely reach out. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me talking with people if they want to vent and stuff, man. I feel like everybody, if I'm going through something and I really have no one to talk to, and someone's like, yeah, I'll listen, that make me feel pretty good. You know what I mean? That I mean, I feel like it's healthy for people to let loose on some of the frustrations or you know things that they're going through, any type of trials and tribulations that they're enduring. You know what I mean? I think it's healthy to talk about it, and you don't have to go see someone. Maybe just sometimes we have so many acquaintances, we don't really have a friend to just talk to. You know what I mean? And I think it's healthy. Now, I don't want to hear everybody shit 24/7, but I don't mind like being that ear, you know. And for some reason, I feel like I've been that ear for the past week and a half, bro. Like it's been kind of crazy. Like it's been, and not to go all like godly and stuff. Like I've been on this like, you know, I feel like I've been mentally changing and with you know trying to get closer with God and stuff like that, and just my mindset. You know, dude, like today I was watching I don't know if you ever watched Johnny Chang. He's the one with the tattoos all over his neck, and he did prison time. Dude, you have to. The guy is super cool and it's relatable in the sense of like he's younger like us, but he did go to prison and stuff, so it's a little easier to. This guy has an insane memory. Like if you say something, he's like, "Yeah, Proverbs 2 through 3." Like he just know, like dude, he's memorized like everything, and it's pretty crazy like how good his memory is. But I feel like it's man, just my mind's just been like, man, I just want peace of mind. I just want whatever I just want peace. I want normality, whatever that normality is. I haven't really found that yet. But and I don't know, I feel like I don't know if it's a calling or you know, don't want to sound all cliche. I don't know if it's a calling or whatever, but people keep reaching out to me. And I've definitely been tested, man, with things that just with things, you know. And so it's just crazy, man. So like I feel like it's almost like meant for me to start doing stuff on YouTube again and kind of, you know, getting back in the groove of things. So like I said, I'm excited, bro. Like there's I feel like I'm optimistic. I feel like a lot of good's going to come out of it. And it's like anything else, as long as we're consistent with this and I'm consistent on doing this, you know, I don't, you know, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, one of the things I was going to comment on as it relates to doing a show is, the cool thing about that in media in general, whether it's written, whether it's visual in nature, like a video or what have you, is the leverage that you get. Like Bronson and I can shoot an episode, that's an hour long, and that can work for us as we sleep. Right?
right,
It's infinite. It's the highest one of the highest degrees of leverage in a business, right? Versus if we have a landscape company and we're working on that for an hour, well, that after that hour is gone, you can't continue to make revenue from that. It's
right,
it's done. Whereas you shoot the show, right? In theory, it can get millions and millions of hits. And it
right,
can be recycled and such, and so there's a leverage that you derive from in media that is really hard in any other field, maybe with the exception of if you're into software, right? You make a software and it can work for you when you're sleeping. But and then you mentioned relationships. It's such an interesting time. And you mentioned how a lot of people want to lean into you for you to hear them out. And I hear time and time again, there's a lot of lonely people out there, a lot of mental health
Bro,
stuff,
some of the
a
stuff I
lot of
hear,
single.
I'm like,
No,
not to
yeah,
interrupt you,
well,
but yeah, a lot of stuff I hear, it's like, wow, man, like I think we've all been there. But I'll let you continue. Go ahead.
no, and just a lot of single people. I was just watching a movie, totally, it came out I think back in 1999, Eyes Wide Shut, and
Oh, yeah, damn.
yeah,
Yeah.
and which is a really good film, and also for those who are not aware, that film, they say Hollywood is a reflection of society, and so from what I've heard from people, that is uh, depicting real events that had to occur. Um, but that being said, the film depicts, very things that are very, sexual in nature and such. And I mean, there's a lot of nudity in it, and I'm sharing that and tying that in with the relationships and such. Where you look back even 25 years ago, you start to see, in my opinion, kind of the moral decay, right? In the 1950s, people were not naked on screen, but by
Right.
and large, in movies and such. And whereas today it's become so normalized, people don't think anything of it. And so I suspect that that has, impacted relationships in terms of long term monogamous relationships. Are just becoming more and more a thing of the past. At least from my observations, I just feel like, um, and I'll try and put a positive spin on it, but the institution of marriage is certainly not what it was back in 1925 or
Right. Or
1955.
bro, it's not even the same since 2005. Like it's gotten so bad, and yeah, like I was saying, so man, just hearing some of these people's stories, I'm like, it's relatable. I mean, I didn't have good breakups and stuff, but it's just crazy hearing that. So I feel like there's always gonna be kind of like that element in in the podcast, though. Like I always feel like there's gonna be a little bit of talk because it's so relatable. People are always going through it, dude. Like real breakups, divorces, or just a separation and coming back, and just like cheating and just like man, every it there's. I ultimately don't think we're meant to be alone, but it's so hard now because when you're on social media, I've been down the rabbit hole. I think we all have. We just start, just what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. But you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. You're like, man, just going down the rabbit hole, and it's just like when you look at women or men, right? For in our case, we're looking at the girls, and you're like, "Wow, she looks pretty." This, and that, and then in person, it's like, "Oh, this." They don't really look that good, but the girl on Instagram look good, and you start this. It's not realistic, Then you start having these expectations that aren't realistic, and the same thing with the women with men, and how they have these Lambos, and you have a guy who has like a '98 Acura, but he seems he's probably a great dude, and but no, he doesn't have a Lambo. Like, look at so and so, he has one, and like yeah, but does he? How do you know that's not his dad's online? Or how do you know he just didn't do it for for the picture? Like, there's all these crazy expectations that definitely men can't meet. Then November is Men's Awareness Month, right? Or mental health. Am I correct?
I don't
I
recall
want
off. I mean,
to.
let me look it up. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, man. Because they were saying, I think,
Yes, yeah, yep,
um, yeah, they were breaking it down per second, per
yeah.
minute, per hour, and it was pretty sad, man. Like, because we've talked about it before. There is not a lot, and I know we're kind of segueing into this, but like, there's not a lot of help for guys. There's always help for the women, right? Like, it's always just laugh at the guys, and like, but for the women, it's taken serious,
Men are the disposable sex.
right? Suck it up, you'll be fine. You're the
Society
man.
does not, in my opinion, by and large, society does not give a shit about men. You look at the events. Okay, for example, what's gone the genocide over in Gaza and such. What do you hear?
Right?
You hear women and children. You never hear about the men. As a
No.
man, if you have the wrong plumbing, you're on your own, man. You are on
Right.
your own. You better figure it out because no one's going to come to save you. Yeah, it's you're yeah it we are the disposable sex. You look at conflict throughout history, who gets slaughtered, who's more likely to get killed if your people get taken over. I mean, sure, you could become enslaved, but yeah, by and large, yeah, it's just a different experience being a man.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, look, I'm one. I fight my own demons. I have things I got to deal with. Have my emotional moments. I think we all do. Um, and then me having kids is like you kind of have to be like you got to put on a front for a little bit to, make sure you're looking like a dad and a man, and you don't want to look weak in front of your kids, but you know, not to get all sensitive about stuff, but I think it's okay if dudes get emotional and stuff. I think there's a time and place for it. You don't want to put fear in your kids constantly crying. This is why my life's like they don't need to hear all that shit. They're kids, and they need to be enjoying life as kids and not enduring all my issues, whether it's financial or any other burdens I have. It's okay to talk to your sons, and like my oldest son understands stuff, but you don't have to put that worry or burden on them, because then they're going to worry about you. They're already worried about you, but then you're going to put that extra stress that their little minds don't need to worry about. Bro, all we were giving a damn about was like, well, I'll use my oldest, 15, was like girls and boobs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all I cared about, that and hot Cheetos and a Pepsi or something. Like, well, much hasn't really changed for me. Maybe just the Chipotle switched out the hot Cheetos, but I still have my soda and whatever else. But ultimately, yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, I just seen it. Matter of fact, today or yesterday about the mental health for men and stuff like that. And I seen Jocko, right, the Navy SEAL dude. I think he was talking about something. I think that's what he was referencing today when I saw his post. I didn't, or one of his things, his reels and stuff. Um, because the whole military thing, that's a whole nother conversation about, man, it's, because you being ex-Navy and stuff, there's plenty of people that are suffering their own, like, I don't, dude, what do you think it is, like, to kind of capitalize on that? You don't see war, say you don't see any war, right? You just do basic training stuff, and you're in there for 4 years, do your thing, kind of like what you did. You didn't see combat, nothing, obviously, right? And you didn't. Why would there still be mental issues for someone that, is it the camaraderie with some people and they really miss it and then they go back home to nothing, or like what is it?
Yeah, that's a good question because having been in the military, I have heard of a number of people that I personally have, was in training with people who have taken their lives. And I've always pondered on, okay, well, these people didn't go to a war zone. What happened? And I think there are a myriad of reasons. One of them could be, that something didn't work out. For example, I tried out for the Navy SEAL program back in 2016, and obviously it didn't work out for me. But I was able to bounce back from that setback, and that really hurt. Um, Other people didn't. There was a guy in my class who hung himself. There was another guy who I don't know how he died, but they found his body um, in a park. And then another guy shot himself. This guy I'm referencing was out of the Navy then, I believe. Yeah, at the time, yeah. And then another died. I don't know from what cause, but certainly it had to have been from suicide. I mean, all these guys are young and in great shape. So I think it was one wrinkled or one facet is something didn't work out. Another one could be transitioning in and out. Going from the military to the civilian world is a different world, right? Because when you're in the military, you're in your own bubble, right? Like,
Right.
you've got on base housing or you're off base, and then you go for your physician's military. If your kids are going to school associated with it, you know what I mean? Like you're in your own world. So, and then sometimes you're in an environment and you can't get out. I don't go around advertising the world, but I, from an early age, wanted to go into the military, and the last, year or so I was in, I just couldn't wait to get out, and so you can feel stuck, right? It's not like you can just put in your 2 weeks. I'm gonna head out, guys. Adios. It's been fun, Uncle
Right.
Sam. No, like it's a laborsome process if you want to try and get out. So yeah, and I, you mentioned that, I'm reminded of some of the people that I knew who, yeah, they took their life. I mean, it at one point I think it was 22 a day or something like that that committed suicide at one point. This is going back about
Military
maybe
wise.
veterans. I think 20
Wow.
22 veterans a day. Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, I can see if you see combat and that just does something to you. Because I'll never forget when I was in college, my first year of college, this guy was a gunner on on the jeeps and stuff. He was in Afghanistan. This was 2006, so he was in it in 2000 and when like 2001 2002, like he was in it when it was like really bad. Man, yeah, he was like, man, and any loud noise when I came back messed with me. I could not listen to any loud noises, man. I would just get triggered, like people honking the horn or revving an engine or any loud noise. I'm like, dang, man, like that's understandable. But if you don't see any action, again, I don't know. I'm not in the military, so I don't know. What was it for you that, since we're on the topic, what was it for you that what you didn't like about it for you personally? Because I know you
yeah,
enough, so I have
yeah.
an
You,
idea what it
you know
might have
me a
been.
little too much.
Yeah, I know
And
too much,
and now you
man.
now you're becoming a national security threat.
Yeah, I'm just like, bruh, if you guys only knew. No, I was kidding.
So what were your question is, what were my reasons for wanting to get out? Like
Yeah,
why
what was
did
it?
I
Because you
want
always wanted to
to?
go in
Yeah,
so bad, and then you're
yep.
like there, and you're like, nah, this is not what I want to do.
Sure. So I went in to, try a program out, right? And not everyone makes it. So if it doesn't work out, you have to pick a different job, what they call a rating in the Navy. And you better hope that it's something that you're, you know, more or less going to like, and so I was fortunate that I got corpsman, which is for those who don't know, is a medical enlisted uh, sailor. Basically, you're doing medical stuff, and so I was and I'm grateful for that. But I did not enjoy being in what they call the fleet, which is big Navy, which is it's kind of a I don't want to say derogatory term, but it's like when you're in the fleet. I'm trying to make an analogy. It'd be like you're basically like you're just a number. You're just a cog, in the machine. Like it's not like you're part of some special forces unit or you're a fighter pilot or you're part of some unique community where they kind of look after their own. You have maybe a higher degree of agency and such. And so I just felt like what am I doing? you know, I went in enlisted and, I went to college. I went in enlisted because a lot of the guys who go into the special warfare programs have college degrees and they go enlisted. They don't go officer. So I didn't go officer. And so you're taking a huge pay hit. And, and I'm just like, I don't want to be, just, you know, fiddling around for the next, couple years or whatever. And when I feel like I could do, and just, a loss of meaning and things of that nature, which in hindsight, I should have just, you know, let it roll. So yeah, and also, yeah, and I'm giving you kind of a long winded answer. Basically, yeah, just feeling like you're just going through the motions. Like, it's like,
Right.
well, why am I here kind of thing. And, yeah, I just felt constrained. You felt like you're walking on eggshells. By the way, if you get it, if the military is so strict where if any little thing happens, they can write you up, right? They can, do this or that. And I just I didn't like being in that environment. So, yeah,
That makes sense. Like I said, I know how you are. You like to do things on your own time. I feel like that's every real man, though. Like, I couldn't go. I ain't listening to you. You know what I mean? Meaning whoever's in charge. Like, I want no one getting on my ass about shit. I'm like, I'm gonna go at my pace. That's why it makes sense of why you kind of wanted to get out. You want to go at your pace, do your own thing. You don't want to, you know, Christian likes to do his own thing. That's Christian. You know what I
no,
mean?
you're right.
So, he likes
It's
to do
bitten
his own
me.
thing. Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, man. It can be, obviously, but like, it's good to be able to work on your own, and like a lot of people can't do stuff on their own. I say it all the time. You're no good to anybody else. You're no good to yourself. You got to be able to be alone. You got to be able to do your own thing, dude. When you're at peace with being able to do stuff by yourself, man, like that's such a good thing. A lot of people always need people to do stuff. Like I do everything by myself. You know what I mean? I don't mind it. I'm so used to it. So I mean, it's good that you're able to do stuff, but you also want to be able to be a team player too, right? And that's something me and Christian have talked about. So, but I can like, yeah, I mean, I always wanted to go in the military, dude. Forever, I wanted to be in SWAT. Like, I always wanted to do it. My dad was best friend was a lieutenant gunner sergeant, and he told me about, yeah, don't be a Navy SEAL. They have sleep deprivation. Don't go. He's like the best thing to do was to be good to be a Marine. That's what he told me. And but I'm just glad I never went, man. I probably wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have my life. We wouldn't be talking right now. Like my life would have been completely different. Now, would I have been good in the military? Most likely. I'm kind of like Eddie. He's a specimen, bro. Like he just doesn't give up. I'm the same way. I'll just keep going. I don't take shit from no one. And like it would have been tough in the beginning, but I think I would have went pretty far. You know what I mean? But clearly that didn't happen. So, and I'm glad it didn't. I like my life. I really do, dude. I mean, could it be better? Because I was talking to a friend the other day about this. They're complaining. I'm like, gosh, just like there's tell me these things. I'm like, your life doesn't sound bad at all. Like, you make good money, you have a nice car, you have a nice home, you're healthy, your kids are good. What are we complaining about again? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like now, I mean, you've discussed it. Everybody's heart's different, right? So, but at the same time, it's like when you really have to pull yourself from out of the stratosphere back to reality and be like, yo, like there's people that don't have jack shit. No running water, no home, no parents. They literally like people in foster care, bro. Like I think that bothers me the most when I think about little kids that don't have anybody. Like so innocent that don't have nothing, dude, and they just want someone to care about them. Like that has to feel bad, dude. Like that has to feel so horrible. You know what I mean? I'm over here complaining about, man, I want a newer car. Oh man, I want a bigger house. I'm like, man, I'm upstairs in my nice home with the AC on, bro. You know what I mean? With my brand new 2025 Beamer downstairs, my son's sleep, chilling, like healthy, have businesses. And I gotta really, we both, I think I'm gonna put you in there too. We really got it because you're upstairs in your nice home and like, you know what I mean? It's like, what are we complaining about? Well, we want this much more money. Like, dude, we're fine. We just want to hit a certain type of lifestyle, right? And which is fine though. We can. We're blessed to be in America, blessed to be in the positions and the families that you come from really good stock. I come from great parents too, and we're in a position where this is our hard, right? And we're trying to level up. Which, but sometimes you gotta check yourself. Like, you know what? We're really blessed. We got ourselves. No one else got you where you're at, bro. You got yourself where you're at. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but you're in the position because of what you did, right? Same thing with me. Of course, you get help along the way. You couldn't do everything by yourself. Same thing with me. I didn't get everything by myself. There's always help along the way. Yours was military. Yours was your parents, family, friends, fucking me. You know what I mean? Same thing the other way around. You've helped me with stuff. Just dude, like there's always a team effort in some sort, but for the most part, it's good to just like take a step back and really be thankful for what you have, and like us being able to do this, and you on your end, you're already getting paid, right? You're being able to, um we live in the best place in the world. I know there's a lot of heat right now in California and in this country because the left and the right side, right? But yo, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I love it here. Yeah, I don't agree with some of the stuff, but we're like I said, we're good. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's people with pronouns that get mad and stuff, but ultimately I think we're in a good position, and we're in, like you said, we're in the best time ever. You know what I mean? In that, to be alive. And I couldn't agree more. You've said it a few times. I didn't really think much about it, but when I've stopped to think about it, and I'm just like, man, that dude's right. Like, we're in such a good time to be alive, and we're not like in the depression times. We're not in the medieval times. We're not like we're man, like we're in some good times. You know, granted, there's evil, there's a lot of bad people, there's a lot of sick people, but we're in a good time to live and to be doing what we're doing. We're making money, we have businesses, and ultimately, like I said, like we need to really be appreciative of what we got, man. We really do.
I completely agree with you, and you touched on a lot of things that I think are incredibly important. You mentioned about getting wrapped up in things that are champagne problems. They're first world problems. They're not. And I find myself, obviously as well doing that, getting anxious about shit that is like, okay, this is okay.
So
This
minute,
is like this is not a problem. Like this is called a champagne problem. Worrying about, oh
right,
my gosh, my YouTube, or is this is like, or the vantage point thing, or just little shit that doesn't matter,
right,
like just big picture stuff. So, so I've come to the impression that this stuff has to be maintained, just like you have to work out consistently, or your body needs to sleep, more or less, 8 hours each night, and you need, people shower at least ideally, a couple times a day, like you do, and you have to eat, you have to do these things to maintain your body.
right,
But no one does those same things as it relates to your mental state, right. So I think that that's so important, because I feel like we have a tendency to get so focused in on the minutia that we need to take a step back. I was like, okay, well, you know what? Just chill out. None of this shit matters. And as I've said before, at the end of the day, everything will completely fade away, right? Your house one day will be occupied by another person. In, I don't know, 100 years, it'll be bulldozed down into some warehouse. Who know? It's just, and at the end of the day, no one really cares. And I think what's really profound is, yeah, everything fades, and we all turn to basically, pile of bones. And you know what I mean? And it sounds really morbid, but it's like at the end of the day, none of this shit matters. Not to sound all like,
right.
I
I
guess the
get your
term.
point though. Like, and it's kind of what I was saying though. You're saying it just a little differently, but as cliche as it sounds, we're not promised tomorrow. Let's stop. There's a book I read. I don't know if you. I'm sure you read. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. I don't know if you ever read that book, but
Or I
it's
think I've
so
heard of it.
true. Yeah, it's a good read, and it's so true. It's like, why am I worrying about? Look, we're human. Pinch me, right? We're human, but you really have to check yourself, man. Like, trust me, and you've seen me. I'll get pissed, or I'm like, man, like even I'm not gonna highlight too much of what me and Christian's personal stuff, but even Christian apologized for something that was it's not a big deal, but like we get irritated about silly stuff, right? About things that are like, wait, my bad, dude. You know what I mean? If I and me and Christian do that. If like I say something like, hey, dude, my bad, dude. I was like, kind of like, whatever, because it's so dumb. We're not promised tomorrow, and again, not to make it all like whatever, but like, God forbid, I go home tomorrow, and that would suck for Christian if we ended on a bad footnote. You know what I mean? And he'd been like, "Fuck, dude, why was I even tripping on that? So stupid, so small." Like you said, it's these champagne problems. Like, dang, it only had 500 views on my YouTube. I need 600. This is stupid. Like, you know what I mean? So dumb, man. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, Bronson, I have to be there at 11. I have to talk to this person at 11 o'clock, dude. I can't show up, man, to get spray on my back. Only he knows what I'm talking about. But it's like, but that's little stuff, right, dude? I have to be somewhere at 11:30, Christian. It's my hair appointment. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's like we really got to check ourselves, and like I think me and Christian, and only me and Christian know these things, right? But me and Christian are and I can speak for us in general. We're in great positions in our life. We're not suffering. We're not have these crazy hardships. We have our own little battles that we're like, man, I want to progress to this level. We're right here. We want to elevate, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's you're competing against your yesterday self. Like I want to be on this level in the next year. It's good to have goals. Um, Definitely feel like we're like with Vantage Point. Go back to talking about business with Vantage Point. I think we're definitely better than we were this time last year. Um, you know, um, Baby steps, man. It's like anything else. You're consistent in the YouTube, and now look it. You took baby steps. You're learning. You made mistakes, and it's growing. Same thing with any business. So, to kind of wrap everything up, I'm looking forward to all the great things coming for all the businesses, for you and me, especially for the stuff we have together. Also, VP Social. So For those who don't know, me and Christian started a social networking group here in the Central Valley, and the ones that we had have been great, and we're planning to do some soon. Again, just life kind of takes hold of things, and we just get caught up in stuff. You know, it's just what it is. But we've gotten feedback. I got feedback from someone today, matter of fact, about they would love to attend one of our events. I'm like, man, if this ain't a sign, man, like I'm just like we got to get it going.
Yeah.
They reached out to me today, and so and this is someone completely who hasn't been to one of the events, and so I'm like, okay, like what other signs do I need? Maybe someone drops a couple thousand, that'd be nice. But joking aside, so this social networking group, that me and Christian started, we're really trying to push it some more, even down in SoCal. Like if we can get it down, there and do some stuff would be great. I know Christian has some, great acquaintances and connections down there, and that we can do something. And there's a lot of room to grow in all these areas that we're doing, bro. YouTube, the podcast, landscaping, the social networking stuff. I mean, I feel like each one of those, bro, the sky's the limit. There is no cap. There is no ceiling onto that stuff. That's what's so awesome.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I also wanted to mention something before we wrap up that you touched on, which was you mentioned about kind of divided in politics and things of that nature. And
Right.
I kind of dive into this a bit on my show, and I just want to comment on that we have and this as it relates to politics. I think call it fill in the blank. Uh, some call it deep politics or deep state. I think they want to divide us. So I think, despite what we see on the news today and things of that nature, I think we have more things in common than we do differences. It's just highlighted by people trying to stir up discontent and things of that nature. And I actually look at, I know I'm going off on a tangent. I actually look at both parties as kind of like a two-headed snake in a sense, right? That's why we don't see any of the major changes going on. That's why we see like forever wars, or why we see, the money printing, which then you wonder, well, why are my groceries so much more? I even heard there's going to be a $2,000 check coming out by Trump, if I'm not
Yeah, I
mistaken.
seen that today.
So, and then what a lot of people don't realize is that ain't free money. That's that's going to cause more inflation. That's going to make prices
And then
go
make
up.
it, yeah, it's
And
not.
so anyhow, I'm not going off on a knocking there, but I thought that was a good point that you highlighted, because people are always, there's talk of civil war and civil strife, and I think you have certain entities that want to see that happen, and so I think folk being positive, and you mentioned we do live in a really good time. We are really fortunate. But yeah, I like this format. I'm sure you did too, Bronson. It's kind of nice, just not having to set up all the equipment to shoot the
Yeah,
episode.
it's a lot
But
easier, but this is how you start things. You start learning what works, what doesn't work. Again, I know there's a few guests coming. Oh, dude, end of week, actually. It's the 16th. So, this is ideal. I know one of them wanted to be in person, but ultimately, good things are coming. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think this is going to work out great. But for Bronson and Christian talk, a lot of good things are coming. So, and with the businesses, man, and with your podcast, I think a lot of positive things are coming our way. And me, man, I'm huge on, man. You speak things into existence, man. You put positive out there, positive's going to happen. You keep saying this can't happen, we can never. Then you're already restraining yourself. And you know what's crazy? I got that from working out. I always told my brother, I'll never forget. He was like, "Hey, how many reps you gonna do?" I'm not. Nope, I'm not gonna tell you. I just want to see how many I can get, because once you put, I'm gonna do 315 once, automatically your mind has put you to that one. So two is gonna be extremely hard. I hope I make sense. So it's like, I'm just like, nah, man. The sky's the limit. There's no cap. Things are just gonna take off. So, but that being said, man, this was awesome. I don't know if you have anything else in closing.
no, yeah, I enjoyed reconnecting, and hope, and I'm confident that someone from the audience took some value from this. If you have questions, or if that you want to have us answer, whatever it may be, fun or interesting or what have you, um, please feel free to reach out if you want to collaborate on VP Social, which is the social group. If you need landscape services, or just if you need someone who's going to be able to give you the hookup, feel free to reach out. Hope everyone is doing well, listening, and yeah, we'll have you tune into our next episode here before long.
All right, you guys. Well, it is night, so everybody have a good night, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
You guys take care. Bye.